Oh my gosh, I was just running around trying to find my tripod so that I could set this up right here before the stream properly starts. But hi, I'm Kate, and welcome to Just Breathe Stitch Along. This is flipped because I'm using the front face camera, but this is what you'll be doing. And I didn't use a filter to flip it around, but because then it would be the wrong way around when I change positions. But hi, and I have Twitch and Facebook and YouTube going at the same time, and they're seeing a really terrible... Oh no, they're not. One sec. Okay. So they're seeing a not so great setup, but that's okay. Hi! Because I am focusing on this being for Instagram. It's just a bonus that they'll be able to do it as well. Scissors and needles ready. Yes! Excellent. So you need to just put the scissors and needles away just for a minute, because we're not going to be doing that just yet. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kate. I am a cross stitch and embroidery professional, I guess. And I'm here to hopefully teach you all how to embroider. We're going to be transferring our pattern onto our fabric today. I do have a hard finish of just before 1 o'clock, which is less than an hour away. So I'm not going to rattle on a bit for too long. But we're going to do a little bit of stitching, I hope, today. We're going to start with backstitching, and I doubt I'm going to finish the backstitching today. My plan is to show you the whole of stitching, not just like show you the stitch and then I'll work on it in the afternoon, and then you guys can catch up. But yeah, for those of you who are watching on Twitch and stuff, I'll stop taking it out of the shot. But yeah, we're gonna I think we should get started. It's gonna take me a sec to just set up my phone so that it works properly. But if you don't have one of these, this is called a light box. The best way to do what we're about to do is to actually take your fabric, and place it up against a window with said pattern in between, like so. So you can see the paper. So it'll be window, pattern, fabric. But because I'm doing this so that you guys can see what I'm doing, I'm going to use a light box. But not everyone owns a light box, so yeah. Alright, I'm going to move my phone now. Hopefully. Come on, it's stuck in my... There we go. My crazy setup. I got cables and cameras, and I'm gonna just quickly open up Instagram on a different browser so that I can check how you guys are seeing things. So yeah, it is going to be sideways as well. I knew I'd forget to do something, and that something is logging in to Instagram on my personal account so that I can check if you guys have any questions or anything like that. What else do I need? I need this cable to plug in here. And see, now we can see what we're doing. I'm gonna move my stream camera. Oh. Why isn't that? All right. So you got your pattern up against a window or in a light box. Hopefully, if you've already done this step, you can just chill for a little bit. But basically we're going to line up our pattern. I'm just making sure that everything looks in the right spot. I definitely need a light box. Yes, they're amazing. Super helpful. Really quite cheap. I got this one on Amazon. This one's a little bit funky. If I leave it plugged in, it will just like switch on randomly by itself, but that's okay. So anyway, before I continue too far, I have this water-soluble pen. As long as it's this or something like this, which is a heat erasable pen. I personally am concerned about heat erasable pens, but I own one because useful. I've heard horror stories of the ink coming back when it's a cold day. So I wash my work anyway. So I like to use a water soluble one, which means when you wash a piece, or even if you just squirt water on it, it will erase. Like the ink will just disappear. It's like magic. It's pretty cool. So what we're gonna do is, if you're up against a window, awesome. If you've got a light box, awesome. We are just going to keep our fabric in the one spot. If you need to, you can use tape to keep everything in place. But we're just going to draw our pattern. And now that I've started, I'm realizing that this might take a little while. So if you've got any questions, let me know and I'll look up as often as I can, as I think of it. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Oh, that's got noise on it, which is going to be annoying. There we go. So we got that one and we got that one. And then I'm just going to do, I'm not going to follow those running stitches properly because I've been looking at this design a lot. I kind of know it a little bit off by heart. So you might notice that while you're tracing, you're moving your fabric. So as you can see, I'm like sketching it kind of, and that way I'm not dragging, I'm not pulling the fabric so that it's all off, like off center, not off center, so that it's not going to be completely bonkers looking. Because if I pull it too much, then the line's going to be all off in the wrong spot. So again, if you're just joining me, this just takes a little bit of time to do. So it's a great time to ask any questions that you might have. And if you need to, I'm just about to hold this in place and just lift to make sure that I'm gonna do this right. There's a little stick bit. And again, it doesn't have to be exact to the pattern. You are making your own piece of art. So if you want it to look a little different, that's perfectly okay. My hand gets really tired when I do pattern tracing. My hand always cramps. My hand always cramps during the tracing process. Yeah, I just said that as I looked up and saw your comment. But yeah, I don't know why I just like grip my pen very hard. I try not to, but it's kind of, my body really wants to for some reason. So one thing you want to make sure, even if you are sort of like tracing this and not like following it exact, is you want to keep this line, this curve, as even as possible, because that way when it sits in its hoop, it's going to follow the curvature of the 6-inch hoop really nicely. And I can show you what I mean by that. So you can see how, I mean, mine's not perfect. It's handmade, so you don't have to worry about it too much, but like it follows around the hoop itself. I'll keep going. I don't want to spend the whole time just doing the pattern today, so I'm going a little bit fast. If you don't catch up, if you don't like keep up with me, don't worry. I am going to like, there will be ample time to catch up. Plus, I got a cat hair on my fabric. I've closed my door today. Normally when I'm streaming in the evening, I have my door open so that my cats can come in if they want to. But I don't want to be interrupted today. So I've closed my door, but it seems like I got a visitor while I was out this morning. Which I got my hair done. Hopefully it looks nice on the stream. You probably can't see it if you're watching outside of Instagram. You definitely can't see it now if you're watching on Instagram. But just a reminder for those of you who have joined, how many have I got? Oh, I've got a few people. If you prefer to watch it on a different channel, I've got this running on Facebook and on Twitch and YouTube. So you can watch it however you prefer. We're almost done. I also hold my breath. I do that a lot when I'm focusing though. That's an ADHD thing apparently. Not that people who don't have a diagnosis of ADHD don't hold their breath when they're concentrating on things. It's just apparently very common for people who are to do that. Oh, I forgot some little dots over here. And now before we lift it up, we just want to make sure that we haven't forgotten any bits. We haven't, you can see I've like shifted the whole fabric slightly. But it looks like we got everything. I'm going to colour that bit in. Cool. So to just give you guys a second to catch up, I'm going to quickly do a thing on my computer. Because I remembered that multi-streaming doesn't set up tags on Twitch. And I like to have tags so that people can find me. Edit stream info. What? Embroidery is not a tag. That's a bit silly. Okay, let's do this. So hopefully you are at least most of the way through transferring your pattern, but if not, that's okay. I'm going to now get this out of the way because we don't need this anymore. And the next thing we're going to do is put our fabric in our hoop. So what you want to do, sorry, excuse me, is take, so we've got the inside of our hoop, we've got the outside of our hoop. The outside always has the little tightening thingy. What we're going to do is put the inside of our hoop, line it up under our pattern. So I'm just holding down the edges. And again, I'm explaining, like over explaining everything because this is a very beginner friendly stitch along. But I'm going to just gently put the outer hoop over the top of the inner hoop so that the fabric is in between both hoops, and then just tighten it as much as I can go. And I'm actually going to get a screwdriver because I've got a hoop that has a little Phillips head thing in it. So you want it to be as tight as possible. Before I get it too tight, I want to pull all the creases from within the hoop out. Sorry, I use my body to do this as well, which you might find is useful, just holding it like against you. And now I'm going to just tighten it even more. And then hopefully you can hear this. It literally sounds like a drum, and that's good. That's as tight as we want it to be. If you don't have it as tight as you can do it, you're going to pinch and like put creases and yeah. And while you're stitching, you're going to be like pulling the fabric together, and it's not going to look very good. So. All right, now that we've got that, I'm going to get my pattern. Oh, of course, I closed my pattern on my computer. That doesn't help. Because I want to make sure that I do it correct. What are we going to start on? What did I say before? I think I said we were going to start on backstitch. Because backstitch is like needed to know for cross stitch as well as embroidery. So I'm just getting my desk stand set up, and this way you'll be able to see it better. Just gonna make sure I don't get my excess fabric in the way. What you can do if you want to, you can trim away some of the squareness of the fabric. So it's like you could trim it like that. But I personally don't. I don't recommend that. Alright, have I got any questions on Instagram? No, I don't. No worries. Cool. Alright. I'm gonna have to adjust camera and phone. Hey, that's pretty good. Okay. What one should we start on? We're gonna do backstitch. So what you need is your sharp needle. I've got a pretty big one. I will be switching to a smaller needle as needed. So for like this tiny little stitch, running stitch here, and some of the other like finer details, I'm going to use a smaller needle. But for now, I'm just going to use this big one because it was there. Sorry, I got distracted. Alright, we're going to do the the back stitching for the stems, we're going to be doing all of the stems before we do anything else. So it's going to be a little bit boring to begin with, but it's very important. We want to stitch over the top of all the stems. So what we want at the back of the piece, we need to stitch first. So we're going to use our 645 DMC color. We're going to do the little, I guess they're dandelions. I don't know. I designed flowers that I thought looked cute. So the dandelions and all of these like pieces that aren't attached to a flower or a leaf. I'm gonna have to move this out of my, I can't get it out. There we go. I need to just move it up just slightly. And we're going to get 2 strands of this. So when I say 2 strands, I'll show you with a proper 6-strand bit. So when I say 2 strands, I don't mean 2 bits of this. I mean if you split open your floss, you will see that there is multiple of these little dangly bits. Sorry, my Twitch stream is struggling to focus. There will always be 6 strands that you will find in, if you buy this off the shelf, like, you know, if you buy a skein and you split it open, it's always going to have 6 strands, because this is called 6-strand DMC cotton floss. Like, that's what it is. So we're going to get, I can't reach that. We're going to pull out 2 of those strands of 6 to use. So I have a cut here already that I've pulled strands from, and I'm going to just make sure there's 4. I can tell visually just because I've done a lot of stitching. So you can see there's only 4 in this. What we're going to do to get out our strands without tangling, I've got 1 here. I'm going to pinch right at the top, and I'm going to just not let go until it's pulled all the way out. So I'm going to just pull it. It's going to bundle up here, and that's okay. We just keep pulling, and it's going to come all the way out, and then that will untangle. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. It's really helpful if you've got nails. I don't have a good nail on my pointer finger at the moment, but we're just going to pull it all the way out, and that's it. So because I'm pretty frugal with my floss, I'm going to put 2 of those 4 strands back on my bobbin so that I can use later. And then we're going to take our 1, 2 strands. We're going to put them together at one end, and then just, I'll do that again because it was a bit fast. So what I like to do is have them around one of my fingers to pull like that, and that way I'm getting them to both sit together, but they're not going to cause any knots when I'm pulling them together, so that, yeah, it's all nice and neat. So now I'm going to thread my needle, which you shouldn't do this way, but I do. I lick my floss and then just push it through. This needle has a really big eye, which is helpful. And then to get our thread started, what we're going to do is hold the end that we want the knot in. We're going to place our needle on top, so the thread is in between our finger and our needle. We're going to hold it in place with our other hand. We're going to wrap a bunch of times. I would say at least 6. And then we're going to pinch all of that again in our hand. So we've got the tail here, we've got the main bit of the floss out here, and then we're going to pull and not let go with what is my left hand. And then just until there's nothing left to pull, we've got our little knot. Ta-da! So that's called a quilter's knot, and that will not run through the fabric. Oh, that's what I forgot to mention. So with my fabric, I actually have 2 pieces of fabric here. You don't have to do this, but it means that you're not going to see through your fabric, which is like not as important to some people. If you're planning on hanging this up in front of a window, it is imperative. If you've got light colored walls, like white or beige or something, you might want to definitely have 2 pieces of fabric. It also makes it a little bit trickier to pull your needle through the fabric, so keep that in mind. But I highly recommend having 2 pieces of fabric while you're doing this. You don't have to trace on both of them, just on the one that's on top. It also doesn't have to be the same color. If you want to do like white and then a black underneath, that's cool too. But 2 means that it's not as opaque, and you can't see like where the tails are and if you carry a thread and things like that. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to start with this dandelion here. We're going to start down at the base of it. So I'm just going to come up behind my work, push through my needle, and as you can see, it's stuck, which is exactly what we want. With backstitching, there's no set rule on how far along you do your stitches. But basically, if you think of, high school maths, the smaller your stitches are, the better your curve is going to look. So I generally like to do it about 1 centimeter, which I have no idea. Well, that's not 1 centimeter. It's a centimeter. Oh my god, I've been outside of Australia for too long. I think that's like 1/3 of an inch. I don't even know, but I do that much. And then we're going to come up at the same distance that we've just stitched away from it. So we're going to come up, and then we're going to go in where we came in before, and that's 2 little back stitches. We're going to do the same distance, come through, and then go back in. And that, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary friends, is how we do a back stitch. Oh, and I pulled my fabric. We're just gonna try and keep it even. If you don't keep it exactly even, that's perfectly fine. I think it kind of gives it character if it's not exactly even. Some people like to reduce the size of their back stitch as they curve around corners as well. I personally don't like that. I like to try and keep it as uniform as possible. Says the person that when I backstitch and cross stitching, I don't do every single bit. I do every single straight section. Again, take your time. You do not have to go as fast as I am. If you're still figuring out how to tie a knot in your fabric, in your floss, no worries. There is quite a bit of backstitching to do, and there'll be quite a lot of time to catch up. You guys are all quiet. I would have thought that there'd be many more questions in a beginner stitch along. I must be explaining things well. It's lovely to see so many people popping in. See, look, I've just done the last 2. I might go back in. So I'm gonna undo what I did. To do that, I'm gonna pull my thread and go back in exactly in the same spot. And don't worry about holes. You just you rub it and that goes away because it's linen or cotton, depending on what you're using. I am using cotton. I just forgot. But I was making my little back stitches longer and longer. It's time. 1:30. No worries. We've got an appointment at 1 o'clock, so. Whoop. Okay, so teaching moment. At the back here, I have a knot in my thread. I can't really turn it around to show you guys because it's quite short, but just know that every knot is undoable. Just don't pull it too hard straight away. So it's really hard to explain how to undo knots because they're all different, but like I can tell that by pulling this bit, my knot is going to undo. Famous last words. It will undo unless you've like literally knotted it on the back, like done a knot on the back and then tried to pull your floss through. Every single knot is undoable. I like to use the pointed bit of my needle to undo knots. You just have to be very careful to not split your floss in the process. There we go. See? I got it. You'd want to try and avoid having too many knots on the back because, I mean, it uses up floss that you want to use to stitch with, but it also just makes it super messy. And if you have too many like scraggly end bits, then you can accidentally like pull through those from the front, the back to the front. So with I've paused while I finished my train of thought. With the little dandelions, you want to come up right where all of the spokes attach for the last stitch of the stem, so that we can attach all of the little spokes into that same hole. And for my finished piece, I did 2 back stitches for each spoke, and I kind of liked how that looked, so I'm going to replicate that again. And you might be asking, but how do I get to the next one? Well, you don't have to worry about the way the back looks here. You can just come up at the next one and then go in that same hole and then do your second little stitch and go back in, and it'll just make a little fan on your back side of your work. But again, this is your piece. You can make it look however you like. I'm just showing you how to replicate this pattern in particular and how to do the specific stitches needed for it. And then that flower bit will be done. So you can, if you want to, you can carry your thread behind your work. I personally don't like doing that. So what I do is flip my work over, and this is going to be really hard to see. Sorry, Twitch and Facebook and stuff. So apologies in advance. But basically, you want to run your needle not through the fabric, but through the back thread bits, and just kind of tangle it a little bit. You also want to let your needle hang and detangle, but so I'm just gonna run it through a couple of times and then go down the stem 2 or 3 times, and before you pull it through the last one you want to do a deliberate knot, and I like to do a double knot just to be safe. There we go, and then we can get our sharp embroidery scissors and go snip, and that's the back of our work. So technically, if you're curious, what the back of the work looks like is actually called a whip stitch. No, stem stitch. So we're actually going to be doing this side on the other side as the stem stitch at a later time. But anyway, just a fun fact for you. I'm going to do another quilter's knot. So again, because I'm going to start the next one, I'm going to pinch it I'm going to wrap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just because I'm doing 2 strands. If I was going to do all 6 strands, I'd probably only wrap it 2 or 3 times, because the knot will be big enough for that. And then there's our little knot. Ta-da! And then, where's the next one? The next one is this here, just this little bit, this little blade. Now that I've done that, I want to talk about the fact that the pattern shows multiple color options. So I'm not going to explain which colors I suggest when it comes to those 3 color options that you'd see in your pattern. Oh, sorry, hang on. I have to practice that quilter's knot. I've never seen that before. Oh, it's very, very easy in my opinion. Like once you've done it a couple of times, in my opinion, it's way faster than trying to tie a knot manually, I guess, for lack of a better term, in your thread. Yeah, I definitely recommend that. Yeah, what I was saying was the different color options in the pattern that you can see. I'm not going to tell you like, oh, so if you're doing color option 1, you have to pick this color, or if you're doing color option 3, you should do this one. That's up to you to decide. I just picked enough colors that looked harmonious together that would fit into the pattern. I am using the exact patterns that you see in this finished piece. So the colors that the pattern like automatically comes with, just to make it less confusing for those of you who are like super duper beginners. So just to explain that, I highly recommend if you are feeling adventurous that you do try some of those colors. Basically because I want to see how they look. So if you are using one of the 3 different color options, let me know and tag me on whatever platform you're on. I'm on pretty much every social media platform as 2 little kids, and I would love to see how they turn out, especially the finished product. So we're gonna stop right there. And that's our next one. And there's something about Backstitch that it's not perfect, but it looks so innocent and lovely. I don't know, I can't explain it. When it comes to embroidery backstitch, cross stitch backstitch is, it's just making lines. But when it comes to doing backstitch embroidery, I really like it. Alright, that's our next one. When I get to it, we're going to eventually trim these little tails that you can see down here. Sorry to twitch and stuff. Yeah, down here. We're going to trim these so that we don't accidentally like pull them through. I'm going to do that once I don't have it stuck in this desk mount, because it's a little bit tricky to do. Okay. Next one is probably just this tiny one here. Yeah. I'm just doing a quilter's knot off camera. It's a little bit easier for me. And then we're going to start down here. So again, you don't have to cut and tie off your thread every single time. If you don't mind about the way a back of your piece looks, I was taught by my mum and my grandma that the backs of our needlepoint should be taken care of, and it's kind of, it's stuck with me. So I like to try and keep them all nice and neat. I'm using the third one. Nice. I don't actually remember what colors. I think the third one was the different blues, if I'm mistaken. It has a yellow in it. They all have a yellow because of the bee. But I tried to get different sort of looking yellows. Well, I follow you already. I will definitely want to keep my eyes peeled. I've got a random hair. I just got a haircut just before this started, and I've got like a random hair that's a little bit too long. I found a new hairdresser or hairstylist, I guess, in this country, and she's amazing. She's helping me embrace my curls in my hair. Yes, blue is my favorite color, so I thought I'd try it. Nice. Alright, the next one we're going to do is this next little dandelion. And I'm going to come up. It's pretty close to my hoop stand, but that's okay. I'm getting a lot more backstitch out of this one cut of thread than I expected. So just to remind you, this color that we're using is 645 if you're using the original color set. And yeah, I think, yeah, these stems are the only time we use this color. It just breaks up the green a little bit and makes it a little bit muddier, but in a good way. Muddier, but in a good way. That work makes sense, right? Just to point out, because I didn't say it over here, do go through your leaves because you're going to stitch over the top of them. So do not worry about your back stitches running through the leaves. It's going to be so much easier than trying to make sure that you fill out your leaves and don't have any gaps than it is to just, spend a couple extra seconds to just do what I just did then. Remember, so right now I'm looking and I've got this much space between where I'm at and where I want the center to be. So I'm going to come up halfway in between there so that my last stitch isn't like too short and squat or too long and lanky. And it does make those last two a little bit longer than I'd like, but I'd rather that than, yeah, too long or too short. And yeah, again, we're just going to do our little spokes. If you go through, like, I'll explain with an example. If you find that you're like poking through the floss, that's okay. I'm trying to do it deliberately, but I can't actually. That's okay. It's called floss splitting, and a lot of people actually prefer to do that, especially when it comes to cross stitch. So don't worry about that too much with back stitching. It doesn't have to be perfect. You are technically splitting the floss at the back with this stitch. I've got people on Instagram being chatty, but quietly chatty in a way. But Twitch and Facebook and stuff are being real quiet. Hopefully it's working. Alright, I'm going to flip that over and tie that off. So you can see it makes like a nice little spider web almost. So I'm running out of floss. So because I don't have a lot left, I'm going to be getting another new cut. Unless, there's one really short one. So I'll do the short one and then I'll get another bit of floss. Because you don't really want to run out. See, I'm going to just do this little tiny one. I like to maximize my floss usage as much as possible. Oh, I unthreaded my needle by accident. This might actually be a floss chicken situation, I'll be honest. Let's see how we go. If you're a regular on my stream, you will be very aware of how often I play floss chicken. Don't know what floss chicken is? Thanks for asking. Floss chicken is where you have a short amount of floss left over and you are seeing if it is just the right amount left for what you're working on. And if you win at floss chicken, you do have enough left, and if you lose, you do not have enough left, and then you need to fix your work. And I think I'm going to be fine. Yep, I'm going to be fine, but it is going to be very close. Okay, I need to readjust in my seat. Oh. And let's cut this off. Alright, cool. What time we got? Alright, we've got a couple more minutes. We can do at least one more, and then I need to wrap up. Oops, dropping it. Alright, so again, if you were cutting from or pulling from a brand new cut of floss, you would still have 4 strands. I only have 2 left because mine was already a pre-cut 4-strand one. So just make sure that you do only have 2 strands, otherwise your lines are going to look way too chunky. But that's why I'm not pulling out 2 strands, because I already have it. So I've just wound it up 6 times. I just bundle it all together, pinch it, and then pull it through so that it forms a knot on the end. Now we're going to do this one here. We're going to come up at the bottom, and yeah, I say a centimetre. It's probably not. I'm a little bit bemused at the fact that I can't visualize metric measurements at the moment. Because as you can probably tell, I am not American. I am Australian. And I refuse to conform to the imperial system. Love how delicate the stems look. Yeah, they look super nice. And we are going to mix them up with some stem stitch, which will also be 2 strands, as you can tell from the pattern. But because the stem stitch is basically double width, it will make them look a little chunkier, but they'll still be very nice. And the delicateness sort of doesn't pull away from the actual main part of the piece, which is the flowers. So my computer is telling me to wrap up, so I'm just closing my alarms. So we will finish this one and then I will wrap up for the day. But we got a lot done. I won't wrap up now, so I'll stop that. But it is so nice to be stitching embroidery again. I've now realized that I haven't done an embroidery piece since the last time I did this Just Breathe pattern. So it's very nice to be doing this. It's so much faster than cross stitch. So much faster. But I do love cross stitch. Maybe for how long it actually takes. Maybe that's why I love cross stitch. Alright, one more stitch and then we will finish up the day. Lovely! Alright, let's flip her over, tie off our thread. Oh, I can't pick up my needle. Oh, I've put a knot in my floss again. There we go, that was an easy one to get out. And snip. Alright, so that's where we're up to so far. We do have a couple more in this colour to go, so I'm actually going to keep my needle loaded. But this is what we're making, for those of you who need a reminder and just to show it off. So yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3 more to go, and they're all next to each other. And after that, we'll do the rest of the backstitch. So this dark green stems are also backstitch, and then what we need to do is the stem stitch. So we will definitely finish backstitching, except for B. We'll definitely finish backstitching tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to do a little bit of stem stitch. That'll be exciting. So just give me 1 sec. I will move my phone. Oh, I put my tripod away. Remember not to do that tomorrow. Hi. Try not to press buttons so that I don't accidentally like hang up on you guys. Okay, just ignore that. But yeah, that's great. We did probably not as much as I hoped, but hopefully I haven't gone too fast for those of you who are like super beginner. If you've got any questions, let me know. You can contact me either here on Instagram or here on Twitch and Facebook, YouTube. You can also contact me through my website, which is twolittlekits.com. I'm like I said before, I'm on the internet like in various different places. So yeah, let me know, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Even if you think that is a really stupid question, please ask. I would much rather help out and have everyone be on the same page, or like just not be confused. I want to help out. I love to share what I know, and I want everyone to enjoy what they're doing. So anyway, thank you so much. Check out my YouTube channel for my floss tube that I posted yesterday. I would love to get a thumbs up on there. I'd love to hear your comments on that. It's sort of related to a little bit to what I was saying earlier. But yeah, thanks so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.